the more I lead, the more I have found that it is drastically important that whatever vision you had for the building that you serve in, you have to have at least a foundational vision set, and then gather support from your leadership team around that vision so you can communicate how you're going to carry it out. Back to my channel. My name is Beretta Lynn, and today we're going to talk about this notion or idea of having a vision. I talked a little bit about this before, I think on one of my first videos on my channel, but I was having a conversation with some colleagues at work, and this very interesting idea of, or this, I don't want to call it an idea, and I don't want to call it an argument, but we went back and forth about the idea of whether or not you need to have multiple pieces of input when you're aligning your vision as an educational leader. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to have this conversation and to put it on my channel, and then hopefully those of you who might have a perspective might go ahead and add some comments below, and then we continue to have the conversation. If you work in education or if you work in leadership, the idea of creating a vision is something that is discussed in mostly any type of educational curriculum or any kind of educational classes that you have, or any type of professional learnings that you have when it comes to leadership. And probably not even educational leadership. The thing that I think is very interesting is that whenever you're in any of these rooms, be it professional development, be it a class, maybe you're trying to earn your degree or certificate, one of the first things they likely talk about is creating your vision. And I think it's funny because a lot of times when this comes up, it comes up repeatedly. Though the leaders in the room have a very interesting reaction to a vision, because they're like, you know, it kind of sometimes seems as if it's this thing that we know we're supposed to have, but no one really knows it, and everybody knows it exists, but no one really knows what it means and what it, you know, or why you have it. Additionally, in schools, teachers, staff members, even children at some time, even like, you know, students know that there's a vision. The school has a vision, and it's posted on letterhead. And some people, I've even been in school buildings where the kids have to know the vision. And I say it like that because it's mystified, right? Like sometimes this thing that is just underlying in the building, but it's not really anything that anybody really, it's not really concrete. Often it's something that, again, is on letterhead, but it's not necessarily something that is like a living, breathing idea or statement that that people know and or know what to do with, even, to be honest. So we were having this conversation about the idea of a vision. I have been in places before where they say, you know, as a leader, you want to build the vision with your staff. You want to make sure it's shared and that everybody is bought in. And I have that tone because I think the further I get in my leadership, the more I don't share that view around the not necessarily around the buy-in to the vision, but I don't think I share that view that the vision needs to be created with teachers. I've been a part of professional developments over the summer where a new principal comes in and the first thing they want to work on is, we're going to work on the vision and we're going to create a shared vision. And then you spend time doing this and you never see it again. It appears on letterhead and you just don't really know the point. I've been on both sides. I've been an AP where every August before school starts, the leader comes in and says, okay, let's relook at the vision. And you never ever hear about it again. I've even been in spaces where there was a whole activity around rewriting the vision, and everybody was to put key words in. And again, it's not that that's a bad thing. It's just you never hear it or see it again. So when my colleague and I were talking about this idea of creating a vision with staff, I had to really think about whether I believed it or not. So we continued to have this conversation, and I pushed back around the fact that I don't, the longer I'm in leadership, I don't think I believe in that concept. And now again, this is my opinion. If you are currently in school, or if you are currently a leader and you believe that you should build your vision with your team, then so be it. Absolutely, so be it. But I want to talk to you a little bit about why, we had this dialogue, and why I landed on the fact that I'm leaning away from the idea that it is necessary to build your vision with your team. So as we continue the conversation, especially with this particular person that I'm having this conversation with, they don't have a school quite yet, and I'm continuing to coach them around eventually leading their own building. And as we were talking about this quick vision and thinking about an elevator pitch, I continue to disagree with someone giving them that feedback that a vision should be quick and it should be an elevator pitch, and it should be then shared with, built with your team. I don't know how you do both. I don't know how it's quick and you build it with your team at the same time. But what I shared with her was that when you are a leader, and when you decide that you're going to lead either a building, or you decide you're going to lead a corporate building, or whoever you're leading, however you're leading, if you're managing, managing for retail sales, you have an idea about what you want the end product to look like. And most leaders do. Even if before you were in the seat, you thought, well, if I was doing this job, if I was the manager, if I was the CEO, if I was the principal, I would want my building to be X, Y, and Z. I would want my kids to have project-based learning. I would want my retail space to look a very particular way. I want my staff to wear a very particular thing. We all kind of brainstorm and daydream what we want the end product to be, and that is your vision. So regardless of what school you wind up leading, you're coming into that space with that already forethought of what you want the end product to look like. It doesn't mean that other team members, your leadership team, and even your staff can't help support or build on to something you haven't thought of already. But I was really opposed to the idea that a leader coming into a space would have to have a hodgepodge, if I can use that word, of ideas about the way they wanted their building or their space to how they wanted their space to grow, or how they wanted their space to feel, or what they wanted as a result of their space. As a leader, you come in with the understanding and the forethought of how you want your space to be. And I explained to my colleague that the way I see you creating your vision is, in a world called perfect, this is how I want my space, building, retail space, corporate building, insurance building, whatever it is, this is what I want it to feel like. This is what I want it to sound like. This is what I want my staff members to wear. Even the spaces where you have these professional buildings where you have a certain dress down day Friday, or you have a space where people bring their pets. That all, although it can be inspired by those who you support, you have to have the forethought and the vision to be open to that type of culture. So I'm not saying that your staff members don't have an input in it, but I really truly believe that your vision is your thought work. Your vision is your experiences. Your vision are the things that you want at the end of your leadership to be true. So I don't know how much of that can be blended or built with others who may not share that same vision because of their own experiences and because of the other things that they've been through and the other places they worked. Again, I'm not saying that they can't say, hey, why don't we do this, or can we do this? But if that is not aligned to your vision specifically, then a lot of times you're not just going to pull that in and say, okay, hey, let's do that too. I once heard someone said, you can't eat from everybody's table. And I believe that very much, that you cannot absorb everyone's thoughts and everybody else's vision, because then you'll get lost. If you are the leader of a building, if you say at the end of this 3-year period, I want all kids on grade level, I want them to do this by project-based learning, I want to make sure every week, at least one day a week, there's kids are out in the world experiencing things that they can then relate to their classroom. I want to make sure this is a space where kids' voices are seen, heard, and affirmed. I want a space where parents know they can come in and take classes both during the day and after school. If that is the way you came into the space, it's not likely that you're going to then shift and change your vision because the other staff members have now put their 2 cents in and it doesn't align to yours. So I had to stand firm with her and say, I believe at least for potentially the first couple of years, when you first enter a school, your vision has to be your own. And then people might say, well, what about the buy-in? And that's what she did say. She said, what about the buy-in from other staff members? I felt like my response was likely a little more harsh than she expected. But when you have decided to be in leadership, one thing people will say is when you're in leadership, it's not a very, it's a thankless job. And sometimes you can feel very alone because everybody's not going to, you can't please everybody all the time and everybody's not going to be happy. But you were chosen as the leader of, again, whatever space. So sometimes you can't have buy-in from everybody. Sometimes those people, if you decide on Fridays you're bringing in pets and people don't want to be around other people's pets, then unfortunately they might have to find somewhere else to work. So when I thought about it during this conversation, I believed the same thing. If this is the vision and this is the building that I'm leading, and I have a very clear idea of what I want the school to look like at the end of a certain period of certain point of time, then you can either agree to those things and decide to stay and be a part of that vision, or you need to find a school and a leader where you can support the vision. A leader can't change their vision to make other people happy, because again, then you have a hodgepodge and you have confusion, you have all these different areas of where you're likely to go. So in order to lead a building and be successful, and I think I said this in a previous video, your vision has to be clear and you have to stand by it, and you have to make sure that although people support it, their opinions don't take you off of your path. So I gave her an example when I thought about it. Of course, all present politics aside, when we have people running for president, they share their vision with us, and then we decide whether we're going to buy into one side or the other. The president doesn't say, hey, I'm opening a poll and I want everybody to share their vision from all over the world, and then I'm going to take a hodgepodge of all of them and then we're going to follow it. We're going to follow all those different ideas. That's not how that works. As the leader of this country, they make they share their vision or their platform with the country, and then those who want to buy in, vote for that particular person. I know that's a little bit, it's an example and it's not really exact, but it's kind of something that I thought about as we were having this conversation. And then additionally, I said, if I'm driving a car, if we're all taking a road trip, and I know exactly how I'm getting to the end destination because maybe I've been there before, maybe I Googled the directions, or maybe I got the navigation on, everybody knows how annoying it is to have 50 different people in the car talking about, well, you can go faster if you turn this way, or you can, if you go 2 lights down and then decide to cut over to such and such street, you can get there faster. Or you have all these backseat drivers telling you all kinds of things, and then if you decide to follow them and you're stuck in traffic, you can't be mad at nobody but yourself, because you were very clear about how you were going to get to the end destination without all the background noise and other people deciding they were going to tell you how to get there. So I would definitely say the more I lead, the more I have found that it is drastically important that whatever vision you had for the building that you serve, and you have to have at least a foundational vision set, and then gather support from your leadership team around that vision so you can communicate how you're going to carry it out. And then strategies for carrying that out can be supported and or collaborated with staff. But that key vision, that independent, this is how this building is going to be at the end of a certain period of time. For me, it's 3 years. It's non-negotiable. And again, this is my opinion. I understand that some people might feel like, that's not a proper way to lead a building. Okay, I'm not leading your building. I'm leading my building. In my building, we focus on tier 1 grade level instruction. In my building, that we make sure students are seen, heard, and affirmed. Like, those things are non-negotiable to me. The strategy and the way we get there, yes, I need input from staff. How are we going to do this? What does this look like? What does it sound like? In my building, we keep our hands to ourselves. In my building, we have a positive school community. What does that look like? What are those strategies? Those are the conversations you have with staff. But knowing exactly what your school will look like, sound like, feel like, be like, and what contributions it will have to the school community has to come from its leader, from that vision, right? And from the strategies that you decide with your staff members and your leadership team. That is then how you set your long-term and short-term goals, right? Because you have made a clear path on how you're going to get to an end of a destination after a certain amount of time, and we're going to use these particular strategies to get there. So now we can set short-term goals and long-term goals around our milestones and progress monitor how we're getting to that end goal. So again, if I use an example, here at my school, students receive tier 1 grade level Common Core State Standard based instruction. And I know that was very long, but I'm using something that's literally coming from my vision. I need to set goals, both short-term and long-term, around what does tier 1 instruction look like? What does grade level instruction look like for those kids who are on grade level and those kids who are not? Common Core State Standards, those are skills. How do I build teachers' capacity around teaching those skills? So those are all different supports that I have to build into the systems of the school building in order to get to where I want my school to be, so that when someone reads the vision of my building, it aligns. So that's how I support my vision with goals. And in doing so, your vision now isn't something that's just on a piece of paper that you keep in the closet or only put on letterhead. It is something that guides your path. It is a roadmap. So if I go back to the idea and the conversation around being in the car, my vision is my navigation system. I have put into my navigation system where I want to go, and because it's up on the screen, everybody in the car sees that the navigation's on, and everybody in the car can see the navigation, so everybody knows where we're going. I just really want to lift the fact that if you're a school leader, to go back and look at your vision. Number one, is it true? Right? So some of the work that I have done very recently with some of the people that I've coached is we went back and we looked at their vision, and half of them, number one, don't even know what it is. Either they inherited it from a person that was previously there at the school before, or when they first got into the school, they were excited. They were like, okay, it's my first job. I'm going to do what my class has always instructed me to do, is to create a vision with my staff members. And then they've never looked at it again. They spent hours putting it together, using Wordles, all kinds of things to build this really nice statement That is not true, nor does it drive any of the decisions that they're making in the building. Your vision should be what will eventually be true. If at your school you are focusing on tier 1 grade level instruction, then everything that you're driving at, every PLC, every professional development, every strategy, everything should be moving you toward that vision. And it should be a goal that after year 1, 100% of the professional learning that you have in the school is centered around tier 1 instruction. You should be able to draw a line right through it. There was a person who entered the room who was having a conversation about vision and indicated that your vision for one building could be different from your vision in another building. Does your vision change depending on the school building that you lead? So I have been thinking about that, and I think again, I disagreed with the person in the room. If I believe that all kids should, or whatever building I'm leading in, should be a place where all students receive tier 1 grade level instruction aligned to Common Core state standards, that should not change based on what building I lead in, nor should it change by the data that I receive, or the data that is coming from that building, or the demographics even. Now, will the strategies be different to get there? Yes, because again, you can't cookie cutter this work. They have different students, they have different staff, they might be in a different neighborhood, they might have different parental involvement, might have different resources. But should my vision change? I don't think so. I think that regardless of how I'm going to get there, the end goal should still be the same. Now, is it perfectly exactly the same? No, but as a school leader, when you walk into a building, regardless of what building you walk into, your end goal and what you want for kids is innate. It is in your forethought. It is part of your experiences. It's something that comes with you. So I can't imagine that depending on what school you go to, that would shift or change. I was really excited to have this conversation with my colleagues because it made me wonder and think about how many other leaders have, one, never picked up or looked at their vision since the first time they made it. Two, there's a lot of leaders out there who adopted a vision from a past principal or past leader in the building. And three, just don't know how to rewrite their vision even if they decided to. So stay tuned for more videos. I think I'm going to start a series focusing on vision, specifically how to write a vision from scratch. We'll have that conversation along with the next steps of having a vision for each content area and each focus area in your building so that they're all aligned to the main vision, and then you can set individual goals for your content areas. If you have any questions related to vision, put those questions in the comment section below. If you like this content, please, as I always ask, share them with other leaders that you may know, other teachers that you know that are looking to get into leadership. As always, please like the videos, they help me out, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you again for tuning in, especially if you watch to the end, and thank you for becoming distinguished.